Welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, brought to you by Pilma. This podcast helps lead lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Here is your legal marketing expert and host, Ken Hardison.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Ken Hardison, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And today we have Mary Blackiston. Is it Blackiston?
Blackiston.
Is that close?
Mm-hmm.
I always kill people's names. I'm so sorry, Mary. This is kind of a new one for us here on Grow Your Law Firm, but I think it's a very, very important one. And it's about copywriting and your message. And, I talk about this, and it's a lot of lawyers miss it. They just think they throw more money at stuff and it's going to work, but they don't really get their message right before they start spending the money. And so Mary, I appreciate it. Mary is a copywriter, and she's worked with lawyers, and she's going to share some secrets today. And I think it's something that y'all need to get your pens and pencils out and take some serious notes. And so thank you for being here, Mary. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, how you got to where you are today?
Sure. So I'm a conversion copywriter, which basically means I write copy that's designed to inspire the reader to take action. So that copy is based heavily on voice of customer research. So by that, I mean research that comes from the words of your prospects, your audience. So based on voice of customer research, persuasion techniques, proven formulas. So it's a lot of psychology and really understanding the person that you're speaking to. And that's basically the conversion copywriting. The process that I use is, as I said, starts with that voice of customer research, really getting to know the audience, the prospect. Before I write a single line of copy, I always start with that research. So that's something that I can go a little bit into today as well, if that's.
Yeah, I want to. I mean, so if I'm a lawyer and I'm sitting down and I'm thinking, let's say like I'm a PI lawyer and I do motor vehicle accident cases.
Mm-hmm.
When I talk to lawyers across the nation, they say, I tell them, I say, you got to have something unique. You got to have something stand out. You got to differentiate. And they always come back, we all do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know the answer to this, but I won't ask you and get it from your viewpoint. Mm-hmm. So what is the answer to that when somebody says that?
It all kind of sounds the same. Yeah, so I think it helps hire an outsider, because often when you're so close to your business, it can be difficult to kind of see those things. But that's why I have a lot of questions that I ask when I work with a client, and that helps to pinpoint those differentiators. One thing that I found when working with clients is that they are just pretty vague when they, I think in the copy, they will write just like, we are caring or something like that. And I want to find out, okay, how are you caring? Give me specific examples. So really specific in the copy is one thing that will make your copy more credible and help your readers to paint a picture, to imagine themselves actually hiring you. So I try to get my clients to be super specific and just digging super deep with everything, all those answers that they give me. One thing that I do is I always start with a brand questionnaire that I send to my clients. And then based on that, I come up with some follow-up questions, asking, questions to dig even deeper with the answers that they give me.
Yeah, because I always used to say, so what? I mean, we care, so what? I mean, so what does that mean? I mean, like
exactly.
You said, it's just a different way of saying it, but that's what I don't know where I read this or whatever, but you just keep saying, so what? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
when I speak, I do this thing about a pencil and eraser. I mean, what's the benefits? I mean, why should I want this, And they say, well, because, it helps you erase. I say, so what? And they say, well, they don't have to rewrite. So what? Well, it saves me time. I say, so what? Well, it saves me money. Okay. Now we got reason you want this pencil because it saves you money, right? You get that. But most people are going to say, yeah, because it erases stuff. That's not, you got to, like you said, Mary, you got to go deeper.
Right.
You got to go real deep. And most people don't want to go that deep. But it's, but you keep saying, so what? Till you can't get another answer. But most people just say, hey, we do. And you can do, and this is something too, I read a lot, because you can tell I read a lot of books on marketing and copyright. And I don't remember the guy's name, but back when Schlitz Beer was, before you were born, by the way. Mm-hmm. So Schlitz Beer was going through a little problem back in 1962. 63, and this marketing guy went in there, and like you did, he was doing investigation, trying to figure out what was setting these guys apart. And he noticed they steam washed their bottles, and the guy said, "Yeah." He said, "That's pretty neat." He said, "Well, everybody does that."
Yeah.
He said, "Nobody's claimed it."
Uh-huh.
And
Yes.
so they did a whole campaign on the fact that their bottles were steam washed, and their
Yep.
sales went up like 30% the next year. And it was they call it preemptive or whatever. I thought it was pretty cool, because I think that's the answer to most lawyers to say we all do the same thing, but you do it different. Some people give out their cell phones. Some lawyers, like when I was doing my law practice, I had a client bill of rights. I had an advocate hotline. I had a 30-day client service satisfaction guarantee. They could get their file in 30 days, but I want to stop that because I'm doing too much talking. I'm supposed to be interviewing. I'm sorry. I love this stuff.
Yeah, no, those are all great ideas. And you touched on something that I wanted to say as well. And actually, I wrote a post about that. There was another beer company that did something that similar to that. And they, I think that I forget who they hired to come in, and it was some famous copywriter. This goes back in years ago. And he came up with a different take on what many other beer companies had already done, and the sales skyrocketed, all because of the messaging.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a big deal. And so I think the golden nugget I hope people get from this listen is you need to figure out what your message is before you start spending loads of money. And if you don't know how to do it, don't have time to do it, then hire somebody like Mary, because I'm not going to say it's easy. I've hired copywriters for over the years. Sometimes I'll do my own copy, but then I'll send it to a copywriter, say, "Can you make this better? What am I missing?" Because I'm probably missing something. Because, like you said, you get so close to it that you got blind spots and you can't see the forest for the trees, that sort of thing. All those, and they'll pick out stuff and change it. Even though I probably know my business better than anybody, but might know it too good. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Now that it helps to have that outsider's perspective on things, and they'll often ask questions that you might not think to ask.
Yeah. Or that you take for granted. So everybody knows this. Well, no, everybody doesn't know this. It's like I was watching this lawyer, this really big guy, John Morgan. He started doing this big deal. If we don't win, it's free. Well, that's every lawyer in the nation that does car wrecks. It's free if you don't win. But he claimed it and put it on the billboards and on the TV. And so now, he's claimed what everybody else is doing. So it's kind of, that's a good example. Everybody's thinking about the slips, but that's a good example of a law firm claiming something that everybody does, but making it his own, and he is first. So you go through this stuff with all these questionnaires and follow-ups and everything. And then, I know you were talking to me before we went on air, and you said that can you give us kind of like a case study of how you went through with this lawyer? You were telling me about this lawyer that did civil rights. Kind of tell me what you did.
Yeah. So I was working with a civil rights lawyer recently, and when I started working with him, he was struggling to get leads. He told me he'd spent $18,000 on a marketing agency, which only generated one lead. He had a little more success on his own, but not much. He would get leads trickle in through Facebook ads, but then when he tried to call people back, they wouldn't pick up the phone. So the leads weren't very qualified. So I stepped in and crafted, the funnel, the messaging for the campaign. And the results from that campaign were pretty incredible. My client had said that if he were to get 3 to 4 signed clients per month, then that would be, in his words, crazy, wild, wonderful success. And I helped him get 15 new signed cases in a single month. And since then, we've gotten, way more signed cases. So he's been extremely happy with the results. There was a couple things that contributed to the success of the campaign. And one of the things was that we picked the right platform for this audience. And then secondly, the messaging resonated thanks to all the research that I did before launching the campaign. So, the messaging strategy, the platform, and the whole funnel, I think, were the things that made this campaign successful.
So what platform did you pick? Everybody wants to know. I know I can hear them out there listening, asking that question.
So this may, seem obvious to some people, but we decided to try Google Ads instead of Facebook, given that his ideal client is already searching for his services. we determined that Google Ads would be the best place to reach them. These leads would be more intent driven. That's not to say Google Ads is always the best choice. If your audience is solution aware, meaning they're actively searching for a solution like car accident lawyer, that's when, you know, Google Ads will be probably the best fit. But if your audience isn't aware of a solution or even a problem, then Facebook ads will be the best choice. Facebook ads will also help to build brand awareness for your prospects who aren't quite ready to take action yet. So using, combining the two platforms can help law firms to increase exposure and get the best results.
I think that's why I've talked to a lot of guys that do this for a living in agencies. And they say that Facebook ads work really good for mass torts, a lot better than single event accidents. And I think it's because a lot of people don't even know that they have a claim that they took this drug or this device or whatever. So that makes sense. That's I've often wondered why it did, but I think you just answered my question. It's a solution. I mean, they don't even know that they have a claim, you know, and
mass tort is an example of that.
Yeah. So how important is the headline for any ad, whether it be PPC or Facebook or whatever?
So the headlines should be basically it's important to make the landing page really skim friendly. So appeal to different kinds of readers. Imagine that your readers are just going to read the headlines. Are they going to get everything that they need to? Are they going to understand everything that they need to understand and be ready to take action just by reading the headlines? So that's something I like to think about when I'm writing a landing page. So instead of writing something like what your customers say, pull out a quote, you know, from one of your customers. And instead of just having all your testimonials bunched together, what I like to do is sprinkle the testimonials throughout the page so that they support the copy. So if you're talking about how your law firm, going back to what I said about our lawyers are super caring or something like that, pull out a quote from one of your clients that talks about that. So just having the testimonials support the copy instead of just like one block of testimonials, and which is what I see a lot of law firms do.
Yeah. So do you believe that I've had this argument with my wife who does a lot of copywriting and with lawyers? I don't know that I know the answer, and maybe there's different answers for different types of things, but long copy versus short copy, which one do you think works best? Because I was taught the old school way, the Dan Kennedy, long copy. As long as it's good, long copy works better. But then I've heard people say people's attention span are that of a gnat now, and that you just need bullet points, get to it, you know, I don't know. I'll ask you because you're a professional.
So I believe that copy should be however long it needs to be to get the reader to take action. So however many words that needs to be. I've written sales pages that are over 10,000 words, and then other, you know, I would say most of the landing pages I write are at least around 3,000 words, just because if your reader is more, you know, let's say they're further along in the buyer's journey, they're more aware of, you know, your services, they already know your brand, you're not going to need as much copy to get the reader to take the next step or to take action. But if you're speaking to someone who has never heard of your law firm, who, you know, is searching for other competitors, other solutions, then you're probably going to need a bit more copy to get them to take the action you want them to take. The important thing is, I think, cutting out all of the filler copy, the copy that's just taking up space on the page. In that case, shorter copy is better. So just making your copy as succinct as possible is important, but answering all the questions that they have as they're, you know, reading the page. So.
Yeah, I used to, I actually got all my people, I do this about once, twice a year, get all my staff, all my lawyers, and then my intake people, when people ask questions about anything about PI law, to write it down, we put it in a spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet, we see which ones came up the most. Because, you know, or the reason they called, what was the reason they called, to try to figure out what the pain points were. And we got do that with 30 or 40 people for 30 days, you get a lot of good information, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that really helped us in trying to come together with what is it that people, you know, what's going to catch their attention and draw them in to want to know more, you know. or what is it that's keeping them up at night? I used to say that all the time. What is it that's keeping people up? What is it that's worrying them? And let me ask you if you do this, because I know a lot of good copywriters, well, I ain't gonna say good, it may be great, but I've heard this, they always say, well, you want to, state what the problem is, what's on top of their mind, what is it's keeping them up at night, and then you want to actually maybe even stir it up a little bit more, as that or agitate it, or kind of put stuff that maybe they haven't even thought about.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do that when you write in your copy sometimes? Maybe not all the time, but sometimes.
Sometimes, but I like them to be reading the copy and thinking, oh yes, this is exactly what I'm going through, or this person understands me. That's the goal. I want them to feel understood.
I like that. I like that, feeling understood. I think that's very important.
Yes.
I know all our listeners, I know you've had clients before. I've had them said, you really know what I'm talking about. You sit, or I talk to them, and then they come back and hire me and they say, you said this was happening. It's like you're a fortune teller. You told me this is what they were going to do, and they did it. That's why I come back, because I know you know what you're talking about.
Right. Exactly. Sometimes, so I was writing a landing page for a lawyer or law firm that helps, car accident attorney. So it's a car accident attorney landing page. And one thing I think some people were thinking as I landed on the page, why should I hire a lawyer as opposed to file a claim with my insurance company? So I painted the insurance company as kind of the enemy, and talked about why you don't want to file a claim with an insurance company. They're going to, scam you, why you should hire, this law firm instead. So that was something that a question that I imagine some people might be asking, some people might not know, why insurance companies are the enemy, and some of them might, but I thought that was important to address early on in the page.
So do you, when you're doing these landing pages, it seems like you do, a lot of stuff for like PPC, Facebook ads. So you're doing landing pages. Do you ever do like change one, or I call it split testing, where you change one, or maybe not change the headline, just one thing, but only one thing, so you can kind of see which one converts the best?
Yeah, I've clients that I've worked with have normally, except for the civil rights lawyer that I'm currently working with, we've done more optimization with him in terms of the actual ads. So with a goal to get more qualified traffic to the landing page. But yeah, split testing is something that I think we're going to try a bit more with the landing page, but we've mostly focused on the ads up until now to try to get more qualified traffic to the page.
Yeah, it's something that I think it's kind of hard to do, because people want to change everything, but you can't know. If you change more than one thing, then you're not going to know which one was that worked. Which one didn't.
Exactly.
So it's kind of, you got to get enough lead, you got to get enough traffic to make it the data is true, instead of being this 20 or 30. You got to have several hundred. So it takes a little bit of time.
But that's the other thing, is with this client that I've been working with, he hasn't spent that much on ads, which is another kind of, he's gotten a ton of results, but he hasn't spent that much. But because we have limited traffic, it's, even if we do the split testing, it's not going, unless we run the split test for maybe a month, it's difficult to make definitive conclusions based on the limited traffic that we're getting. So if you have a lot of traffic going to the page, it can be really powerful.
One of the problems motor vehicle accident lawyers have is that the cost for PPC has got crazy. Like some words are in some cities are costing $200 or $300 a click.
Wow.
A click, not a lead, a click.
Wow.
And it makes it prohibitive. I mean, like Raleigh, like I practice like Raleigh personal injury lawyer, Raleigh car accident lawyer. They're probably between $150, $250 a click. So you gotta, it makes it hard. That's why you see a lot of lawyers going to TikTok and Facebook, or either long tail, which is, people don't know what I'm talking about. Long tail, it's, Raleigh accident, it gets a lot of searches, right? But how do I, but a long sentence like, what am I entitled to if I get hurt in a car accident? Well, that's a long tail. So you might not have but 20 of those a month in Raleigh, whereas you might have 2,000 Raleigh car accident lawyer.
Right.
But the cost, instead of $150, $250, it's going to be like $10, $5, 50 cents. So, it's
Yeah.
all about what's your mode and your pocketbook's willing to, to go with. But
Yeah.
I want to go to the deal about, because this is something I see a lot of all businesses, they don't really have a strong call to action.
Mm-hmm.
Can you kind of elaborate on what a strong call to action is? I mean, and I've seen lawyers run ads, but they don't tell people what to do next. And I'm thinking you just wasted a load of money, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Call to actions can definitely make a big difference. So, and this is something I learned in my copywriting training with Joanna Wiebe, who's, the original conversion copywriter, but she said to, write, I want to, and then finish that sentence. So do people, when you're asking what your prospects want, do they want to schedule a call? Probably not. So your call to action should not be schedule a call. I mean, ultimately, this is something you can test to see, but if you're getting a lot of people clicking, it doesn't necessarily mean they're qualified clicks. So that's something to think about as well. But I had tried to have a, call to value. So something that's going to be, again, those are words of Joanna Wiebe, but you have a call to value instead of a call to action. So something that's going to be more benefits driven, outcome driven. So thinking about what your prospects really want. So
Could that be something like a free brochure or some kind of or is it more? I'm just wondering. I mean, I like what she's saying. So call to value. So what you're talking about is, I'm big on educational based marketing. I used to write little books, 50-page books, call them books, or really like ebooks or whatever. But I would use them as lead magnets, and I would also, use them. So, click here now to get your free copy. Learn the 5 mistakes most people injury claim victims make and how to avoid them. Is that kind of stuff you're talking about, or is it something more?
Well, it depends, I guess. If it is for a lead magnet, then talking about what is it that they really want, when it's not going to be download the lead magnet. It's something that what is it that they really want at the end of the day?
So with your civil rights lawyer, what was your call to value?
I'd have to check again and see what
That's all right. I know you want your only client in your whole life, so I don't expect you to remember everything.
Yeah, no, I don't remember specifically that call to action, but it was not schedule a call. I don't think I mean, what I do is I have a call to value. So maybe and then below that, I have some text that, it may explain. So if it is a call, then stating that in small copy below the button. So the call to value might be get justice. I mean, that's a really pretty boring call to action, but the first one that pops to mind. And then below that, saying click this button to schedule a free call with one of our lawyers or something like that, so that they know what happens once they click that button. And then reducing risk, risk reducers around the call to action or call to value, so that people don't feel as like it's a big risk.
I always like, when I say click, I always like to say click now or click, to get, I watch some really good. I'll go through Facebook a lot and I'll see these ads, and if it's somebody I think is really a good marketer, I'll click through it just to see how they do their stuff, because they can learn, right? So I was watching the Brunson, what is it, ClickFunnels, and remarkable kid, multi-millionaire now, but he would say, click here right now to get instant access to all these, whatever it is, like all these different templates or whatever. I thought, man, that's pretty cool, because that's really saying, you're going to get it right now. I mean, it's like urgency. It's like immediate gratification.
Right.
So I'm thinking like click now to immediately talk with one of our representatives or lawyers or whatever might be stronger than just, click here. I don't know. So that's where you got to test stuff, because I don't know. You don't know till you try, right? It sounds like, if you got 15 cases 1 month. I mean, like I say, this stuff is,
yeah, you could also
marketing's testing. I mean, there's rules and all that, but I've seen some stuff work in some jurisdictions or some parts of the country. Like what'll work in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, might not work in Long Island, New York. Because people think different. I mean, a little bit. I mean, I know what's on the back of all my listeners and viewers' minds is, well, can I afford a copywriter? Yeah, and you give me a quote today, but what's like price ranges? I mean, is it like from 1,000 to 10,000 or 500 to 3,000? I mean, I know it depends on the project and all that, but it's kind of like a range.
No, I mean, I always say to a client, it depends, and depends on how much research you're able to do, because the research is a big part of the conversion copywriting process. For clients that don't have a ton of money to invest in a copywriter, I offer a VIP week for 3,500, and that's where I devote the week to the clients and their copy. And with that, we can do, you know, a limited amount of research, writing like a pretty long form landing page that will involve like an interview with the client, that sort of thing. So that's kind of more or less where it starts. I also offer copy critiques, which is where I, you know, can critique a landing page and give feedback if they want to kind of do it themselves, and that's at $9.97. So, but for done for you copy, it starts around 3,500.
Good deal. And the deal is, I can hear some people say, "Oh, that's expensive." Well, it's not, because here's the deal: it's an investment. I always look at return on investment. You got that lawyer that spent $18,000, got one case. He spent, I don't know what he spent with you, but he got 15 cases in 1 month. And I guarantee you it won't $18,000 he spent with you. So the deal is, even if he spent $15,000 with you, that was only $1,000 a case. If his average fee is $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, that's a 10 to 1, 20 to 1, 30 to 1 return. That's how you have to look at market. That's how you have to look at marketing spend. It's not expense, it's an investment, but you got to invest wisely. You know, so people out there saying, you know, I can do this myself. Well, you might can, but I think I'm pretty good at this stuff, and I still send my stuff to people that, you know, to look it over and find stuff that I missed because you're too close to it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's, I worked with one lawyer who would come to me, and I think they were getting a 5% conversion rate of a landing page written by another copywriter. And then I rewrote the page and we got like a 15% conversion rate. And that's just, you know, optimizing the page. And a previous copywriter had written the first page, but unless you have this conversion copy process and have done, you know, I've spent hundreds of hours studying, you know, the psychology of copywriting and everything. So you could do it yourself and you could probably get it maybe a decent conversion rate, but, you know, unless you hire a copywriter, an expert, it's not going to be results you could get otherwise.
And I think a lot of lawyers make this big mistake is they talk about, we're the greatest, we're the best, we, me.
Yeah.
And those words shouldn't be in any copy. It should be you, yours.
Oh yeah.
What you can do for them, what's in it for them, because they don't really care about you. They really don't. I mean, they might like you, but they don't really care what, you know, what's in it for me. Everybody's in that. I'm the same way. I mean, you know, when I'm looking at something, I don't really care about that person per se. I might like him, but I really want to know what you can do for me today. You know?
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the you rule, I guess, in copywriting is just start every sentence with you. Obviously that you can't start every sentence. There's maybe some sentences where you use we, but every sentence where possible, turn it around to think, can I make this about the reader? And that's always going to be more effective. It's just an easy way to optimize the copy.
So you just taught me something new today, Mary. I did not know there was a whole genre out there of conversion copywriting. So, you know, you taught me something new today. That's why I love doing these podcasts. I learned something new. I thought I knew everything about copy. I know nothing about copywriting.
Well, great. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for having me. I hope it was helpful.
Yeah. So if people want to get up with you, Mary, what's the best way to contact you?
Yeah, I do have a checklist I could provide as a checklist for lawyers to optimize their copy. So the ultimate landing page copywriting checklist. And
Great.
if I could also, my website is nomadcopywriting.io. So .com was taken, so it's .io. And yeah, that's the best way to reach me.
So if you'll send that to us, I will put it in the notes. I'll put a URL to the notes so that they can download that.
Sure.
Or go to it, whatever. That'd be great. I'm looking forward to get a copy of that myself.
Great. I'll send it over.
All right. Thank you, Mary.
Thanks.
Listen, Thank you so much. This is the little stuff, guys, that y'all need to be looking at. It's just not about spending money. It's your message, how you do it, and how you get people to convert. Because when it comes down to it, you can have 10 million visitors to your website or a landing page, but if they don't convert, raise their hand, take action, it's not going to do you a bit of good. So we need more Marys out there to help us do this stuff, okay? Until next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.